Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever and wherever you. And welcome back to the Beta Planners. We return to playing a little bit of Hearthstone. And although in the background there is going to be the Tavern Brawl this week, which was all about blood magic, more or less, we could play our spells and pay for it in blood. And that, well, is of course right up my alley, because it means you can either play safe with, for instance, buff paladin, or you can go risky and play tempo, and that is of course what I've done. After all, great peril yields great beauty, and I do think that in the end the meta was more established towards that direction in general anyways. But why is this in the background, and why am I not actually going to talk about it? Well, it is because I don't make a lot of videos about Hearthstone, and I'm sure that the title will have lured some of you to this video. But before we get to that final point that I have stated as the title of this video, the fact of the matter is that Hearthstone has announced a few changes. Now, I don't think all of them are bad or what have you not, but there are some things that will have led me to say what I'm saying. But let's start at the very beginning. So they're going to make a new format for updates, and instead of having 2 times 130 cards released plus an adventure with 54 cards, they're going to do 3 times a month 130 cards. On one side, I think that this is awesome, as they are putting so much effort into it, and with more cards there's more deck building. But on the other hand, if you print so many cards, you run a higher risk of making power creep, like cards that you have to include in your deck because they're so powerful, because, well, there are so many cards, you gotta make them interesting. Some cards have to have, like, that edge, and that edge leads to power creep, I'm afraid. So, new and exciting is cool and all, but I see that little monster creeping up around the corner. On top of that, people said they like it because cards are not hidden behind an adventure, and well, that doesn't cost you as much to get them out. But to be honest, I think it will be more expensive to get cards, because let's face it, opening packs, it's very random what you get, and the chance to get that one legendary you really would like, for instance, is much lower than guaranteed a legendary at the end of an adventure, or a wing even. For instance, we saw the Curator, or Medivh certainly played when it was released. Now you're not sure. You want to have the Curator? Go ahead, try and get it. I fear a bit, so to speak, that there's going to be a World of Hearthstone where it really becomes pay to play. Because even with grinding, you will be behind the curve every 3 months. And that is why, it is my greatest reservation. On top of that, 8 cards will be altered, 6 of which will be going from standard towards the Hall of Fame. So, going into Wild, though supposedly they were standard, so they cannot get, they were always to be there, but okay. And 2 nerfs. Now, I'm starting actually with the Azure Drake, because it ties in with another card in my opinion. Though I hate to say it, Azure Drake is indeed in many decks, like about 50% almost. And although not really super overpowered, it's more its versatility that makes it crawl its way into every deck. Its movement to wild, well, I can understand it. It's an auto-include in many things, but it doesn't just hurt, for instance, Dragon Priest, because let's face it, Blackrock Mountain is also about to shift out of the standard format, so a lot of dragon cards will leave as well. There have been some new dragon cards in the recent updates, for instance in One Night at Karazhan, but is it going to be enough? I do not know, but it also once again ties into the other card, and that is Spirit Claws. Spirit Claws is nerfed, and its cost is being raised from 1 mana to 2 mana. That means to get the full 9 damage out of it, Well, for 2 mana, that's getting really difficult because Azure Drake will be gone, and that means you, well, have either Felnos over 25% chance for a Spirit Totem. So it becomes really hard to activate. And to get the full 9 damage, well, its options are just too low. It becomes a subpar weapon. 3 mana for 2, 3 damage for 2 mana isn't horrible, but that's if it's a spell. If it would be instantaneously and do all the full damage, not in 3 little pieces and, well, Harrison Jones or what have you not, or in the 6 Swamp Ooze and bye-bye. Look, I can see a deck where you might want to put in Kobold Geomancer for the spell power and see some kind of a burst shaman with lava burst and lightning bolt trying to do it that way, but I sincerely doubt it, to be honest. You might see the card being nerfed to such a point that it will go away, actually, just the way it did the Warsong Commander of Starving Buzzard, though I'll admit those cards were nerfed way more to death than Spirit Claws is, at least in my opinion. And I doubt that anyone is going to, well, fight me on that one. To be honest, I rather would see it go the way of the Azure Drake towards Wild, because I rather would see cards stay the same, and then move to, like, Wild Guy. This card, it's out of the meta. Let's not exaggerate Shaman with a lot of weapons, but the card is new, and, well, they can't really do that. Oh well. The other nerfed card is Small Buccaneer, going from 2 health to 1 health, which is another quite strong nerf. And one with quite a few consequences, but I think this nerf is very good. It will stay in Pirate Warrior, because it's a 1 mana warrior in order to get you patches, but having said that, there it comes around the corner, having patches. I am a casual player, like maybe you all that's watching this video. I can't craft every freaking legendary. So, but still, it was needed that Small Buccaneer got a buff. It was too much damage in the early game, and now it being on 1 health, 1 mage hero power, Manatite Portal, Alley Cat from Hunter, just a Swashbuckler from Rogue or a Battling Book from Mage. All of those can fight against it, sure. And once again, if the opponent has patches, it might take out a 1/1, but Alley Cat also summons a Tabby Cat, so you can get it down. Manatite, Mage Hero Power. No, there are no options. So, which other cards will then be moved to Wild? Well, first 2 legendaries. The one I always wanted, Sylvanas Windrunner, is the first to come up. 6 mana, 5/5, and take over an enemy creature on death. Well, that is about the best death rattle in the game, and she's considered a combo killer. I understand. And the fact also they say is it's not an overpowered card, but they want to have the development room in order to work with death rattles again. But with her death rattle present, apparently they didn't like to do it, but there was always a time where there was Sylvanas Windrunner and you could pair it, for instance, with Baron, what's his name again, that double triggers death rattles. I mean, I don't see the issue here all of a sudden. Also, if it's a combo killer, alright, but what about if you want to play a value deck like Dragon Priest? Is it now just going to be a combo race? Is it going to be aggro and combo races against one another? I mean, she's very easy to include in many decks, but just like Azure Drake, but I don't know, I'm kind of iffy on it. But I'm less iffy on this than I am actually on the other legendary, which is Ragnaros, the Fire Lord, which is actually, funny enough, the first one I ever opened, my first legendary ever. The reason they state this is because they claim it is used in many decks, from control to mid-range to even an aggro finisher. And you know what, I can see that, but I don't see him that much on ladder, as I don't see Sylvanas Windrunner that much on ladder, to be honest. And I know some people dislike fighting him because Ragnaros freely kills something, but on the other hand, you also have Ragnaros the Light Lord, which can heal 8 damage and then still do damage up front, which is actually a 16 total points difference in comparison to 8 points. That also seems pretty good to me, and there's no nerf on that. I know, yes, it is class specific, but it is an auto-include into almost any Paladin deck, which, for instance, by the way, is also Tyrion Forgebringer, so Ragnaros is in an aggro deck. It's seems to me... I mean, I have seen a good many control decks, and they don't always use them. I'm just a bit surprised, these two. And I think they are more rotated out because they want design space on the 6 mana slot with Death Rattles or 8 mana or 8 mana health creatures. But yeah, I don't know. And then there are the other cards, which are really just combo cards, in my opinion. Power Overwhelming, for kill and combos instead. Conceal, hiding away a questing adventurer or gadgets and auctioneer or an Edwin. Or Icelands, which was of course for the burst damage. Now I actually named these cards in order of understanding from my side why they're getting removed. I mean, Power Overwhelming, I really see that. I mean, it allows for super easy trades in the zoo and extremely deadly combos with Leroy, Power Overwhelming, Faceless Manipulator, boom, 20 damage out of nowhere. I can see the point that it's really easy to play, but, well, yeah, no, I can see that. Let's just face it. I mean, it's annoying. 1 mana, 4 damage, it's crazy good, and certainly also if you combine it with a Void Dweller who just eats the health up as well. I mean, it's just a crazy card. So, okay, I can see that one. Conceal demands for strong AoEs because, well, you can conceal your Gadget and Auctioneer, your Questing Adventurer, your Advent Van Cleave. Still, with the amounts of AoE nowadays in the game, there are plenty of ways actually to kind of crush it when it comes at least to Auctioneer. Most of the time, also Questing Adventurer. Advent can be a little bit tougher, but yeah, I understand, and the point is they want to keep apparently an Auctioneer in, which has been already called as been nerfed once, going from 5 mana to 6 mana. Apparently they didn't want to move it out, even though it is one of those big-time engine cards for J Druid and for Rogue, and apparently they didn't want to remove that, but in order to make it a little less strong on Rogue, they're going to put Conceal into Wild. Yeah. Icelands, I really don't get, to be honest. I know its burst potential with low mana can do a ton of damage, which, by the way, I don't make proper use of in a few moments. Really, the mage game you're about to see after the shaman game play is just... Woo! Should not have won that one, actually. I play horrible there. But, anyways, I don't see the point, because it's mainly only seen in Freeze Mage, or perhaps a Tempo Mage, and to be honest, Tempo Mage isn't just a strong, aggressive deck anymore. It's just been it's outclassed right now by Orc Warrior. Yeah, by Garrosh, but as a pirate. Sorry, that was silly. But yeah, so we hardly see it anymore, and then perhaps they want to remove it in order to allow more things like Potion of Freeze, or with perhaps Shatter as a combo, but the two cards that revolve around these freeze mechanics, or like, for instance, the card that gets a +2/+2 when every creature is frozen, you don't see them played, and removing Icelands is not going to give you that space, or, I mean, it seems to me a bit... I don't know why they remove it and what design space that would create, but perhaps there is a design space that I just don't see. I've heard someone say perhaps they can make a card that makes the Mage's hero power into a freeze power. Cool, I can understand that Icelands would do way too much damage. Way too much, which is why they originally changed Charge in OTK Warrior in order to not be able to go face anymore. But, well, I don't like it, but I can understand it if that is going to happen. If that is going to happen, then this whole point was mute. If they don't do something like that, then that makes it like giving you an extremely easy way to freeze an enemy. Then I don't really see the point why Icelands has to go. Having said all of this, overall I can understand most of these cards, why there are... I mean, I can understand the reasoning behind it, and although I feel sad about it, as you can hear about it, even if I don't have them, which is a major point you have to realize, I don't have Sylvanas Windrunner, for instance, but I do have Azure Drakes, and I have many of the other cards. Actually, all of them except for Sylvanas Windrunner. Okay, perhaps I'm being egoistic here, and I, as a casual player who doesn't have that many cards, sees a few of my good cards just going out of rotation. But, okay, overall, Power Overwhelming, it's really strong. Conceal is really annoying. This incredible burst damage from Ice Lands. Let's face it, Spirit Claws, 9 damage from 1 mana, and it is quite doable right now. It's annoying. I'm afraid the card might be too much nerfed, though it's really hard to nerf it less or what have you not. I mean, if it's gonna be too duration, duration or no, that you can use the weapon twice. It's also not gonna be a good card anymore, even if it's at 1 mana. Well, actually, I don't know. Might have rather seen that than this, but I don't know. It's difficult. As said, all of these things I can understand them, and to be honest, small time Buccaneer I really understand. But with so many new cards, I fear that some of the new cards that they will print out with these new 390 cards per year, which is more than a card per year, I feel that some of them are going to be just as strong as pre-nerf Spirit Claws, Small Time Buccaneer, or Leper Gnome, Ancient of Lore. Do you remember those? I also mentioned Charge before. These cards had been nerfed to death, even more so, for instance, Warsong Commander or Starving Buzzard, which I have mentioned before. I rather would see, I mean, you don't see those cards anymore. Do you even remember them? I mean, some you might, but they already moved to the back of our minds as in a long distance memory. And I'd rather not see the game clogged with too many cards. I mean, I understand cards and deck building is cool, but because of the rotation system, you're only getting 54 extra cards per year. And perhaps then you can also say, but you're getting only 54 extra cards per year. What are you complaining about? Well, I'm not only complaining about the fact there are extra cards and then are freer for power creep. I also fear for how to get them. So, I mean, you need to shell out a lot of money or grind so much in order to stay on the curve that I feel it's getting a little bit ridiculous. And because the grind is too long, you just can't do it. I mean, some of the pros out there have like, this is good changes, of course, but you spend money on it, you have followers, and you spend money in order to be, well, have the best cards to show them off in your game, and I can totally understand. I wish I had all the cards to show my watchers, but yeah, you also have been playing so long, you have the dust and gold and get all these cards, and we as a casual player don't. We're just puppets of RNGs to see if we get the right rewards from our packs. It's just disheartening for a Hearthstone player to hear that I'm going to get all these bits from packs, and I simply can't spend all the time. Or perhaps you can't even spend all the money. Or, well, if you want, that's your choice. But then, you know what I mean? I think I know what you mean. Having said that, moving a few cards to Wild and not nerfing them to death is a good thing. The nerf to Spirit Claws and Small Time Buccaneer I can understand. I hope actually that now that they've made this decision to move a few cards from Standard into Wild, that some of the old cards will actually be restored to their old qualities. Warsong Commander, Leper Gnome, Ancient of Lore, so that Molten Giant, so that you can play, for instance, your old Reno Lock deck with the old Molten Giant. Don't we miss some of those classic old decks that you used to play? And I think that for some people that haven't played Hearthstone in a while, but they come around to the game and they want to play their old deck, now it's just not available anymore, and that's just disheartening again, I think. So I can understand the directions. I'm not saying I don't understand at all, but I'm not sure if I like some of these directions, because with so many cards and everything now coming from packs, I think it's going to be really difficult for some of us normal people. And this is, by the way, the really big error that I'm making. It's about to show you. With the Firelands portal and everything. I should have just gone Ice, Icelands and Fire portal all to his face. I shouldn't have cared about that totem. Yeah, well, have to point you that out. I mean, all this rambling that you've been listening to, if you're still here, I mean, I've been rambling like an old man. It comes from a casual player. It's something totally different, I think, for people that have been very long in Hearthstone, and then it feels like they will work out fine. It will work out fine for them, and it's cool for them. More deck building, that is indeed cool. It becomes more pleasant to watch, probably. But for people that are rather new and are still trying to do the best, or what have you not, I know of a friend who was interested in it, but hearing how long the grind already was, and now knowing that the grind is going to be even longer, he's not going to be interested in this anymore. It's just too much. So, what can I say? This is, well, what Hearthstone is going to be like. I hope I can still get RNGs on my site and show you all type of new cool mechanics that they're probably going to release somewhere in April, because some championships are going to be there in February after the winter season, so everybody has played standard, and that's, I think, the general idea anyways. So yeah, we'll have to see in April what happens, though the nerfs to Small Time Buccaneer and to Spirit Claws, if I understood correctly, are going to take already place in February. Well, I think I've said enough, and I'm just gonna let you enjoy a horrible end game to see that sometimes RNGs is with you, because I should not have won this, and perhaps therefore I should not complain as much, and perhaps we should just try to have some fun when we're playing a little bit of Hearthstone. I say I thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to me rant for a while. If you did actually like it, or if you want to say something about Hearthstone, please do feel free to write down in the comments what you think about the development in Hearthstone. I love to hear your opinion. Please don't flame each other if somebody else has a different opinion. Please don't flame me if you have a different opinion. Totally allowed, but this is what I wanted to say. And I say to you, I thank you for watching, and remember, great peril yields great beauty. Perhaps even so, when randomly drawn for cards in brand new expansion packs. One can only hope, right? Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.